XXL comebacks. Which legends are capable of returning in a way that will shake up the UFC agenda and influence the title lines, rather than just collecting likes and fading into obscurity? What is a real comeback? Access, contract, medical clearance, disciplinary issues, camp readiness. Without this, any statements are just noise. Motivation, not a paycheck, but a goal that changes the grid. A belt, a unification, a crossover, anything, but with a stake. Matchmaking, an opponent who can immediately take away leverage. Rating, high influence. Timing, release in US window slots, spring arenas, July Vegas, fall New York. Outside these corridors, the comeback loses momentum. Tools for victory. What a fighter really brings to the cage today. Not in 2016. Pace, wrestling, IQ, clinch, striking, cardio. Top-level candidates. A comeback that changes the rules. Conor McGregor. The set of levers is unique. The name itself shapes the weekly news cycle, and the right matchup immediately reboots the division. How does this turn into for real? Opponent formula. A striker who plays the center of the cage without an obsessive grappling agenda and with a name that sells the main event for 5 rounds. Plan formula. The first 6 to 8 minutes of strictly disciplined distance, then measured aggression and counting on movie moments. What won't work? A comeback against a pace setter with volume and low kick barrage on the supporting leg, or against a grappler who will immediately pull the fight to the fence. Verdict: a real huge comeback is only possible through a mega fight. Otherwise, it's loud but has no impact on the belt queue. Nate Diaz. Nate is not about his record, but about the scenario. His comeback will be real if he goes where the agenda is decided, rather than a nostalgic mid-card. Working formats: BMF belt against a striking star, or a trilogy with McGregor. Risks: slow start and vulnerability to low kicks. Compensators: endless boxing volume, clinch details, psychological pressure, and the ability to drag the fight into the later rounds. Verdict: one of the most likely real comebacks, provided the right window and venue in the US. John Jones. Jones is a game changer. He turned it on, and the entire heavyweight division was reshuffled. But he only has 2 options for a real comeback. Immediately for the heavyweight title, a fight with the reigning heavyweight champion for control of the division. Highest risk, highest reward. But this is something that most people don't even believe in anymore. A crossover with a superstar from a neighboring weight class. A fight that makes headlines for a quarter and sets the next mega main. And Pereira himself is not against it. Any other opponent is a high-profile continuation, but not a coup. Verdict: yes, it could turn the tables, but at maximum risk. Candidates for next: show, status, box office, but limited impact on the grid. Anderson Silva, a genius of timing and distance. In MMA, age primarily affects defense against exhausting fights at the fence. Where it works, 100 boxing events with the right opposition. In MMA, only selective super fights with minimal transfer risks. Verdict: aesthetics. Yes, impact on the grid, limited. Georges St-Pierre, the perfect brand and a clean reputation. He can strengthen any card in grappling and set the tone for the event. In MMA, a return to the belts is not in sight. Verdict: a real comeback. In the format of elite grappling and good striking. Ideal for MMA, but the only problem is his age, although his training suggests otherwise. Candidates with a narrow range of possibilities. Jose Aldo. He has shown that he can compete in rounds at an elite pace, but for the comeback to be XXL, he needs a quick lift. Step 1, a name with a vulnerable front leg and a willingness to play in the stand-up. Step 2, a contender who doesn't get bogged down in exhausting exchanges against the fence. Verdict: the window is narrow, but it exists. 2 successful matches, and Aldo is a factor again. Tony Ferguson. The heart is with him, but his ability to take damage and recover is against him. Verdict: nostalgia is stronger than real tournament sense. Don't expect. Sounds nice, but it won't work in the system Khabib Nurmagomedov. The narrative is closed by the fighter himself. Brock Lesnar. Regulations, age, parallel commitments. Nick Diaz. The brand is alive, but there aren't enough resources. Daniel Cormier. The ideal role on air is more important than short-term risk. Stipe Miocic. If he returns, it will be for one super fight. It's nice, but not a coup. Separate shelf outside the UFC, but on the US agenda, Francis Ngannou, a heavyweight phenomenon who shapes events outside the UFC. This is a comeback for the sport as a whole, but not for the UFC's tournament structure. He holds the interest of the US, but not the organization's grid. Verdict: yes, a big player, but in a different coordinate system. Reality check. Tools, not memories. Any legend today must have a specific set of weapons that can be scaled up for 25 minutes. Pace. Who imposes the speed of play after the 12th minute when cardio breaks down? Control at the fence. Who knows how to take minutes without unnecessary risk? Adaptation. Who has a plan B and C if the basic entry doesn't work? Front foot defense. Without this, you won't exist at the top level in 2025-2026. Risk psychology. An XXL comeback is always a step towards maximum bets. Windows and venues where comebacks become events. Spring arenas in the US. Ideal for intercepting the news cycle after the sports winter. July Vegas. Yes, a showcase where legend versus star gets maximum reach. Fall New York, status, and media depth. Here it is important not just to come out, but to declare a course for the belt. Auxiliary windows, international stadiums as a springboard for the main event in the US in 8 to 12 weeks. Working matchmaking schemes for McGregor. Key, limit the opponent's low kicks to the front leg and turn the fight into a central boxing rhythm. This means you need a striker with a high media rating who won't be looking to fight every minute. 5 rounds at a controlled pace are a must. The comeback shouldn't be decided in a sprint to the first clinch. For Nate Diaz, he needs an opponent who doesn't destroy him with takedowns and agrees to trade blows. The BMF belt or a mega trilogy would be ideal. Everything else is just for show. For Aldo, a fighter with weak front leg defense, then a contender without a grueling cage. If 2 steps fly in a row, the Bantam has a new old problem. For Jones, either the heavyweight king right now, or a crossover who takes over the media for a quarter. There are no middle options. What the US market thinks today, attention is divided between active champions and new faces. For a legend to take the agenda, they must come up with a plan 2 steps ahead. Win and immediately name the name and date of the next fight. Anyone who comes out just to come back has already lost. Final verdict and shortlist real XXL comebacks. Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, provided they have the right window and opponent, John Jones, if he chooses maximum risk for maximum effect. Show comebacks with limited impact. Ronda Rousey, Anderson Silva, Georges St-Pierre. It's beautiful, it's box office, but it won't shake up the rankings. Narrow corridor, Jose Aldo and TJ Dillashaw. They need 2 perfect matchups in a row. Otherwise, it's a quality but local comeback. Don't expect Khabib, Lesnar, Nick Diaz, Kane, DC, Stipe as a system player. Outside the UFC, Francis Ngannou. Yes, a factor, but in a different architecture. To sum it up in one sentence, huge comebacks are not about the name on the poster, but about control over the agenda. It's about being willing to take maximum risk at the right moment, choosing an opponent with leverage, imposing your own pace, and leaving the cage not only with a victory, but also with the right to dictate the next step. Such a comeback is measured not by highlights, but by minutes of control. Front leg defense, discipline at the net, plans B and C in case of failed entries, a cool head in the final minutes. After the buzzer, it's not emotions, but management. Name, date, place, belt logic. In the next year and a half, only those who come not for applause but for influence will succeed. Those who understand that one evening must turn into a series of decisions. The main event now, the claim tomorrow, the title duel the day after tomorrow. As soon as such a fighter announces his course, the grid will move on its own. The question is he willing to pay the price of risk and leave behind not noise, but a new division architecture?